begin by having Kim talk about the founding and set up a framework for what the founders were thinking about when they set up the Electoral College. And then Jim is going to talk about the Constitution in Article 2, which is where the Electoral College actually isn't in the Constitution said like that. And then we're going to talk about a normative understanding of it. I just want to start by, the founders offered us, of course, a constitution, and they also provided us with Federalist Papers as a clear sort of scheme of representation, right? And the Electoral College represents one scheme of representation. Their scheme of representation was a limited form of government whose goals are fairly narrow. The goals are to promote order, stability, and political liberty. The question for the founders was, how do we create a stable society while at the same time allowing individual freedom? How do we not have things erupt into chaos? And their solution was a complex system of checks and balances that we're all aware of, and the Electoral College is a part of that. The different institutions of government that we have are meant to create different constituencies. And let me just show you what I mean by that. So if we think about how the founders sort of set up our system of government, which is very complex, very hard to get things done. And what is their goal? Their goal is to stop factions from going nuts and tyrannizing over other factions, either minority factions or majority factions, right? So they set up a system of government where power, of course, is divided, and we're all familiar with that, with the House and Senate. We need to think about how they tried to frame that system. So they gave each one a different constituency, a different way that they're apportioned in terms of their office, a different term, and a different membership. And all of that helps to create different constituencies and different factions and different interest groups, right, so that we can prevent ultimately tyranny. So in the legislative branch, we have the House and the Senate, one where the House is created within a district, right? Their constituency is a district. The Congress, the Senate is state. The executive, of course, is national, and the Supreme Court, of course, has no constituency. We can argue about that, I suppose, but no electoral.
Yeah, I'll talk about that.
Justice. Yeah. Oh, already I'm in trouble. Okay, so in terms of thinking about how the House is elected, it's proportional, right? And it's electoral, it's proportional, it's based on the population. The state is federal, right? That's a federal representation, so we're representing districts, then states. The president represents the nation, right? But it's both proportional and federal, right? Because we have the House and the Senate is how you get your electors. And we appoint members of the Supreme Court. The Congress, the House has to go back very frequently, every 2 years. We have 6 years rotating for Senate. Why do we rotate them? So that there's always this hardcore 2/3 of the people who can stop the masses or the chaos from the House from uprising and making bold changes. So there's always a core group who aren't elected, right? That's the point. And then there's 4 years for the president. So we've cut these groups up as well to create different constituencies. And of course, the Supreme Court is somewhat isolated in the sense that they have life appointments so that they can make decisions and not have fear for their jobs. We have a large membership in the House, a smaller membership in the Senate. There's only one executive, and we, as a norm, have 9 members of the Supreme Court. So we've created this real environment, this real system of government where we've divided up power pretty aggressively, and the Electoral College is a key part of this system of trying to frustrate and control the passion of factions. So as we consider our democracy, we want to consider our founders' goals, and so Kim is going to talk about the founders' goals and the founding.